Yeah, we back. We got a heavyweight topic to talk about today. Man, tonight I was going to be on the Patreon tonight. You know, some of y'all wanted me to talk about the United States government dropping indictments on so-called Haitian gang leaders. You know, we're going to drop that on the Patreon this weekend. Stay tuned. But today, my brothers, today, like I said, this past week could have been a tragic week for Pan-Africanism. Listen, I told you, this could have been one of the most tragic weeks of all time. We almost lost two heavyweights. President John Mahama, the president of Ghana, right? He almost lost his life in a helicopter crash. Take a look up on the screen. Helicopter crash in Ghana kills the Minister of the Defense and the Minister of the Environment and 6 others, right? It was said that the president of Ghana was supposed to be on that same trip going to the same location, but last minute changes made him go somewhere else and he narrowly avoided tragedy. Now, we already know the previous president of Ghana, we already knew he was collaborating with the adversary. So when we seen John Mahama came to power and we saw that, he was friendly, he was opening up economic relations. He allowed the brothers in the Sahel to use his port for import and export, and also gave Ibrahim Traore his own personal depot at the port down in Ghana. So the president of Ghana, that's one of our allies in the region. That's definitely one of the big homies. So if he would have died in a plane crash after he just came to power, that would have been a tragedy, brothers. That would have been a tragedy. I'm not gonna lie, that would have been a big loss, right? The adversary would have been up. The adversary would have scored a goal on us crazy, right? And then a few days after that, I started hearing rumblings of President Assimi Goïta. They almost took him out. They almost took my boy out. As you can see, we saw the headlines coming out. Mali arrests 24 soldiers over an alleged bid to topple the government. Now, luckily, the attempt failed. And luckily, John Mahama, the president of Ghana, and His Excellency, the president, the general, the head of the Confederation, President Assimi Goïta, he's still here. He's still in power. So, man, it was a very close call this past week. We almost took some big losses this past week, right? The adversaries would have been celebrating, right? And not only our European adversaries, but also our black adversaries as well, right? The guys walking around talking about Pan-Africanism is dead. They would have also been celebrating the deaths of President John Mahama and President Assimi Goïta. So luckily we still here. We still in the building. Now, for those of y'all that follow me on the Patreon, I did a deep dive on this topic already, right? We discussed the internal and external dynamics that President Assimi Goïta has to contend with and has to balance to not only maintain his power, but also advance his agenda with internal adversaries and external adversaries. Sign up for the Patreon. We did a deep dive on that one. But like I said in that video, this is not President Assimi Goïta's first encounter with this type of situation. We already know when he first came to power, I believe in his first year, he was almost stabbed to death at the mosque, right? Take a look up on the screen. A few years back, Mali's interim president, Assimi Goïta, is doing well after a knife attack. Assimi Goïta was targeted in an attempted stabbing attack during prayers at the Grand Mosque in Bamako, right? Now, the individual who attempted that murder, he is no longer alive, right? He is no longer in the land of the living. He is currently decomposing. Now, take a look at this headline that just came out today. Mali's military rulers arrest 2 generals and a suspected French agent and others in an alleged coup plot. Yes indeed, the adversary, he never sleeps. And that's why I said in my video last night, it's the brothers on the continent that's going toe to toe against the adversary, bringing the fight against the enemy, right? The rest of y'all need to shut your damn mouth. Now, this reminds me back in 2023 when the captain Ibrahim Traore had arrested those 4 French intelligence agents, those 4 French spies that were working on behalf of the DGSE, which is the French equivalent of the CIA, and they were detained in Burkina Faso for over a year. And they only received their liberation after the French government had coughed up 60 million euros. I did a video on that a while back, right? Take a look up on the screen. Ibrahim Traore received 60 million euros to liberate the French secret agents, right? Go check out that article that discussed that. Take a look up on the screen. How 4 French intelligence agents held for a year in Burkina Faso were freed. That article is coming directly from the French media. And in fact, as you can see, the author of that article is Benjamin Roger, a prominent French journalist, right? So as you can see, the adversary himself telling you we had to pay millions of dollars to liberate our colleagues. And now the adversary, even after losing millions of dollars, he's still trying to destabilize and infiltrate our brothers. This is so crazy. But like I said, the adversary, he never sleep. He never stop. He been attacking us for hundreds of years. Like I said, you can go back to the days of the Haitian revolutionary government under Christophe. They did the same exact tactics. We talked about this multiple times. Take a look up on the screen, right? Back in 1814. In November, the French commissioner, Augustine Franco de Medina, who had formerly been a plantation owner in Spanish Santo Domingo, left Jamaica for Monte Cristi, where he stopped to inspect his estates. When he crossed the border into Haiti, Christophe, having been forewarned, was ready for him. He was proclaimed to be a spy and his papers were seized. And as you already know, Augustin Franco de Medina, like I mentioned many times before, yes, he was eliminated, right? He was liquidated. He was assassinated. Yes, that's how you handle the adversary. But anyways, man, let's get into the topic of today. This is so crazy. They really tried to take out the president of the Confederation. That's crazy. Anyway, let's jump straight into these articles. Mali's military rulers said today, that they have arrested a group of military personnel as well as civilians, including 2 Malian generals and a suspected French agent accused of attempting to destabilize the country. Man, when I tell y'all we got enemies, when I tell y'all we got adversaries, y'all think I'm playing. Right now, let's continue. The announcement followed rumors in recent days of arrest of Malian army officers and was made by Mali Security Minister General Daoud Ali Mohamedine on the evening news on the local media. He assured the audience that a full investigation is underway and that the situation is completely under control. Now listen, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, I'm still in shock. They really tried to take my boy out. Now I've been following President Assimi Goïta since the day that he announced that he was kicking the French out the country, right? The day that I read the article that he gave the French military 48 hours to vacate their territory, I've been a lifelong fan. I would literally follow President Assimi Goïta into combat. That's how much I got respect for the general. And like I said before, if he would have died this week and President Muhammad would have died this week too, I would have took a break off YouTube. Y'all wouldn't have seen me for a few months. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I wouldn't have popped out for a little bit. They would have silenced me with that one. I would have had to take an extended break. I would have been like, listen, y'all can have YouTube. The grifters can have YouTube. Listen, y'all can have it. Y'all can have y'all nonsensical conversations. I'm out. I would have been silenced with that one. Swear to God. Anyway, let's continue. The military provided a few details about the alleged coup plotters and what it entailed and the French national who was implicated in it. That's crazy, brother. We have French nationals on the territory, and I guarantee that he did not come in with a legitimate passport. I guarantee he came in illegally. I guarantee he did not come in through usual channels. I guarantee he came in clandestinely under the cover of darkness. Swear to God. Now let's continue. The French national was identified as a man named Yann Vezilier. The security minister said the Frenchman acted on behalf of the French intelligence services, which mobilized political leaders, civil society actors, and military personnel in Mali. My God. Listen, man, President Assimi Goïta, there are certain things I cannot say on YouTube, right? Now, when it came to the captain, he liberated the French spies because they, coughed up millions of dollars. When it comes to this situation, ain't no money changing hands. We not accepting no money, big bro. Don't accept no money. I don't care if they come with $250 million. We not accepting no money. No. When the French government sent Augustin Franco de Medina to infiltrate Christophe's territory and infiltrate Christophe's government, listen, Augustin Franco de Medina, his body is still buried in Haiti, still to this day. His remains are still on the island of Hispaniola, still to this day. Long live Christophe, man. Anyways, like we already discussed in previous videos, the French government currently, their back is against the wall, right? Their economy is in shambles. The economy is in full collapse, right? Take a look up on the screen. Why the French economy is stuck in stagnation. GDP is not expected to grow by more than 0.6% this year, according to the latest economic outlook. All drivers of economic activity have stalled, and unemployment is projected to rise at the end of the year. Take a look up on the screen. A crash is coming and France is not doing enough to stop it, according to a top economist. Olivier Blanchard told Politico that France is absolutely not doing what is needed to get its finances in order. So as you can see, when it comes to the white Frenchman, the money is looking funny, right? The money is looking funny. The birth rates are in the toilet. Take a look up on the screen. The French prime minister may scrap 2 public holidays to reduce the country's debt. We already discussed that, right? So in order to generate revenue for the government, increase taxes and production, they're thinking about scrapping 2 public holidays and sending the citizens back to work on those days in order to generate revenue for the state to pay off some of this debt, right? Now, back to the topic at hand. Take a look up on the screen. So this is the adversary. This is the guy, I believe his name is Yann Christian Bernard Vezilier. That's the guy's name, right? That's the adversary right here in the flesh. This the enemy right here, as you can see. Now, some quick research on who this guy is, and it turns out that this is a French military veteran with almost 30 years of service in the French Air Force, right? A lieutenant colonel for the French government. Now, that's why I said I know he did not come to the country through regular protocol and regular channels. I know he did not book a flight on, JetBlue and then coming through the Bamako airport. No. We know he came in illegally because a French military veteran coming into the Sahel, that's a threat to national security, right? So we know he came in under the cover of darkness, clandestinely. And if you ask me, now this is just my educated guess based off previous conversations we've had before on the channel. I believe that he came through the border of Mauritania. That's what I believe. I believe he came into a bordering country, a neighboring country, and I believe that neighboring country was Mauritania. It could have been either Mauritania or Algeria, but my bets are Mauritania. Now, like I said before, this is not some small fry. This is a big fish in the French military, right? Almost 30 years of service, due to the research that we have, right? High ranking, commander in the Air Force, commanding large scale operations. So he's not, some little guy, right? He's a big guy when it comes to French society. And we got him currently in custody right now, right? Man, listen, President Assimi Goïta, he locking up the CEOs. We locking up the French commanders. I mean, we locking up all the adversaries and we locking up the black traitors. Man, listen, man, it's Pan-Africanism, baby. Now, I also want to talk about, some of the black traitors because it's not only the adversary himself. We also have those who are collaborating with the adversary as well, right? These the type of guys that say things like, oh, Pan-Africanism is dead, right? These the type of guys that collaborate with the adversary, right? This guy right here, right? This Negro, Abbas Dembele. Shameful, bringing shame to your name. And I heard that this guy actually comes from a very, prestigious family in Mali, right? He's a governor of one of the regions. And here you are in custody, collaborating with the French. My God, bringing shame to your name, bringing shame to your name. And look at his title, Brigadier General. And like I said, he's a governor of one of the regions. So this is not a small fry. Right, this is not a small fry. This is also a big fish, right? Brigadier General de Brigade. This is crazy, brother. Like I said, sign up for the Patreon. I did a deep dive on the internal adversaries as well as the external adversaries that President Assimi Goïta has to navigate. I mentioned how he has to balance the ambitions and emotions of his inner circle, the men that surround him, as well as the multinational corporations that definitely want to kill him or replace him. And then, of course, our everlasting adversary, the white Frenchman, always plotting our eternal destruction, always in the background, always omnipresent. So as you can see, the general has a lot on his plate. It's not easy being a black man in power when you have honor and integrity and morality. It's not easy. It's not easy. And then you got grifters in the diaspora throwing dirt on Pan-Africanism. It's just crazy, what our brothers got to deal with. We have European enemies. We have black enemies. Man, we got enemies all over. But anyways, I saw this comment this brother left on YouTube. He said this: why is General Abbas in this mess? You are Mali's most beloved general. You did everything for your country, and now you are in this mess, right? So it seems like this guy, like I said, Brigadier General Abbas Dembele, it seems like this guy had a lot of respect. He was a governor. His father was a man of high status in the country, so he comes from a very respected family, and now he has destroyed his family name. Listen, black man, don't ever destroy your family name. Do you know how hard your forefathers worked and the men that came before you worked to establish your family name for you to go and destroy it? Don't ever destroy your name. Don't ever destroy your reputation. Don't ever destroy your family name. Now, General Abbas Dembele was not the only, traitor that was locked down. There was also a woman that was also arrested as well. Another high-ranking military service person in Mali, right? Take a look up on the screen. Nema Sagara, a colonel major in the Malian Air Force. She received military education since 1986 in Mali, France, and the United States. She is one of Africa's most senior female soldiers and one of the few Malian female commissioned officers to have seen combat, right? So obviously a very lengthy, illustrious career going back to the 1980s. She done been on the battlefield going toe-to-toe against, hostile adversaries, and she herself also destroyed her name, destroyed her family name. Now, if you're on my Patreon, we already discussed what are some of the reasons why they might have taken part in this operation. Right now, when you look at these two individuals as well as the other ones that participated, you notice that these are part of the old guard, right? What I call the old guard. Probably those who were trained under the French, French military academies, built relationships with probably, the French military. They probably have family living in France, right? Most likely have family members, living in France. And as we already know, ever since President Assimi Goïta came to power, the country has went in a different diplomatic and geopolitical direction, severing ties with France altogether. So it's probably not as easy to get a visa to travel to France if you're a government official or in the Malian military, right? So maybe they probably miss being able to go to France and maybe miss being able to go shop in France and go see the Eiffel Tower and spend time with their family in the diaspora in France, right? So maybe, like I said, because they're part of the old guard, they might have some sympathies towards France or the old regime or how things used to be. They might not have the same hatred for France, right? Which makes them easy to be flipped. That's why you have this guy right here. I don't know how we got into the country, right? We need to figure out, how did this guy get into the country? How the hell did Yann Christian Bernard Vezilier get into the damn country? Because I know he did not fly into Bamako. We know for a fact he did not book a flight to Bamako. This man snuck into the desert. So that also tells me that President Assimi Goïta, listen, big bro, when it comes to the Mauritanian border, when it comes to the border with Algeria, listen, we have to mobilize the troops, big bro. We have to mobilize the border patrol. We have the French sneaking over the border through Mauritania. Listen, brothers, we have to mobilize the troops along the border, right? The adversary sneaking into the country, trying to topple the government. It's not a game. It is not a game. And like I said, this is what the French government, I told y'all, this is their game plan. They realize that the brothers are not going to elections. We're not going to no goddamn elections. Forget about it. We're not going to elections. So now they say, you know what? Forget it. We got to topple the government. And guess what? If they topple the government, they're going to kill our brothers. They're not going to, you think they're going to allow President Assimi Goïta or President Chiani or President Traoré to just, if they overthrow the regime, you think they're going to allow them to go into exile or go seek asylum somewhere else? No. They're going to die, right? They're going to die. So we have to realize that our brothers are really putting their lives on the line for real. They're really putting their lives on the line for real. It's really not a game. And like I said, we almost lost President John Mahama and President Assimi Goïta in a single week. Like I said, I would have went into hibernation. But anyways, man, I'm not going to be here too long. Go check out my video that I dropped on this topic on the Patreon. And like I said, we're going to be on the Patreon this weekend. We're going to talk about the whole situation with the so-called Haitian gang leaders and, Trump trying to, chase them down. We're going to talk about that. Sign up for the Patreon family. Anyways, it's your boy Neferkari Salim back in the Billy. Yes, indeed. 21 Cannons, first single off the next project. Pin comment at the top. Subscribe to the Patreon and I'm gone. Peace.
Good evening, everyone. As I mentioned, the Minister of Security and Civil Protection, Mr. Minister, good evening.
Good evening.
With you, a government statement.
Thank you. Communique number 0077 from the Transitional Government. The Transitional Government informs the national public of the arrest of a small group of marginal elements from the Malian Armed Security Forces for criminal offenses aimed at destabilizing the institutions of the Republic. At a time when the Malian nation, united in all its components, is mobilized to consolidate our regained sovereignty and eradicate the obscurantist terrorist forces of the Confederation of Sahel States, these military personnel and civilians had no other ambition than to seek to break, with the help of foreign states, the dynamic of Mali's rebuilding. Thanks to the professionalism and vigilance of the specialized services, the conspiracy was thwarted, followed by the arrest of the perpetrators on the 1st of August 2025. Among the people arrested is a French national named Vezilier Yann, acting on behalf of the French intelligence service, which mobilized political leaders, civil society actors, and military personnel, including Brigadier Generals Abbas Dembele and Nema Sagara. The transitional government, while condemning this subversive act, reassures the public on one hand that judicial investigations are ongoing to identify potential accomplices, and on the other hand, that the armed security forces remain determined to complete their mission of combating terrorism in all its forms. The transitional government also reassures the public that the situation is completely under control and invites the population to remain calm while staying vigilant against desperate attempts at destabilization that will always fail, God willing. May God bless Mali.
Yeah, walk in the room and I stop all that talking. Stay on alert and I'm moving with caution. Feeling like baby, I'm up in New Orleans. Feeling like Stunner, feeling like Wheezy. Look at my nigga, my wrist is Fiji. Trying to get cash, I don't wanna be famous. Look at my nigga, my wrist contagious. Ain't no stopping when I get started. Ain't no stopping, gotta go harder. Drop that top, whip go brainless. Chasing that check, I ain't trying to be famous. Whipping that Benz, feeling like spaceships. Everything official, ain't no fake shit. Doors unlocked, community gated. Look at this ice, bet they gon' hate it. Look at my life, enemy vanquished. Then it's on sight, gun in your faces. Look at that love, turn to hatred. Kill my ops like a Haitian. Ain't no love, ain't no honor, ain't no trust, ain't no conscience. I ain't perfect, but I'm honest. Enemy lurking, enemy watching, enemy stalking, taking photos 24/7. Straight surveillance, hit a new spot, change location. Shorty got wet off my cadence. Just see ice, but I got papers. Ladies love me, and I got flavors. Ain't no love in these streets. Nigga, yo jaloux, yo méchant. Got them chains off my feet, by the sword and by the gun. They throw flowers at my feet, and they say that I'm the one, and they say that I'm the target. When they see me, they pay homage. Shorty talking about divesting, she with Malibu most wanted. When I go and get that check, I put it up and make it stack. Breaking that bank, whipping that Benzo. When I pull off, it go fast. Need a Fortune 5 accountant just to count up all this cash. Got these samples trying to sue me just to make me walk it back. Yeah, walk in the room and I stop all that talking. Stay on alert and I'm moving with caution. Feeling like baby, I'm up in New Orleans. Feeling like Stunner, feeling like Wheezy. Look at my nigga, my wrist is Fiji. Trying to get cash, I don't wanna be famous. Look at my nigga, my wrist contagious. Ain't no stopping when I get started. Ain't no stopping, gotta go harder. Drop that top, whip go brainless. Chasing that check, I ain't trying to be famous. Whipping that Benz, feeling like spaceships. Everything official, ain't no fake shit. Doors unlocked, community gated. Look at this ice, bet they gon' hate it. Look at my life, enemy vanquished. And it's on sight, gun in your faces. Look at that love, turn to hatred. Kill my ops like a Haitian. Ain't no love, ain't no honor, ain't no trust, ain't no conscience. I ain't perfect, but I'm honest. Enemy lurking, enemy watching, enemy stalking, taking photos 24/7. Straight surveillance, hit a new spot, change location. Shorty got wet off my cadence. Just see ice, but I got papers. Ladies love me, and I got flavors. Ain't no love in these streets. Nigga, yo jaloux, yo méchant.